Yo! What's good with y'all boys, man? Hey, I hope y'all enjoyed that Walking Dead yesterday, bruh. I had a good time playing that, recording the last episode. Today, we got a reaction video, bruh. We got where our people on famous album covers today. Hey, man, all I care about is where is the... Hold on, matter of fact, I'm finna show you, bro. I could just look it up. I wonder where he at, though, bruh, man. Where brother at, man? Where brother at, man? Hey.
That feature just random people. So
Right.
today we're going to be looking into where these random people on famous album covers are today. Real quick, I just wanted to say that I got this idea from a dope YouTuber I found called Astromancy Archives.
Shout out Astro, man.
A really cool video on the same
Oh, wait,
subject.
who is this
However,
dude, bro?
I saw
Hold
he
on.
missed a few that I thought had to be included in this
Shout out
video,
Maddie, bro.
So I went ahead and included them in this one. So shout out to him. I'll link his video in the description below. And now let's continue. Also, again, real quick, I'm close to 500K, and if we could hit that by like Christmas, like a little Christmas gift to myself, that'd be pretty dope. So yeah, maybe subscribe, that'd be dope. I'd appreciate it. An album cover that immediately came to mind when I saw Astromancy's video was Look at Me by X.
Oh
And
shit,
I just
okay,
had to
so
talk
we
about
is gonna
it.
talk
In
about it.
2015, when X was putting out his song Look at Me and picking covers, the song went through a few changes, whether it be the OG cover or the mugshot picture. But one of the covers featured on one of the versions of the song was a 12-year-old kid with a blunt in his nose, which very quickly became one of the most iconic images in the
Bruh.
underground rap scene and
I
the
been cut my
overall
hair, bro.
community,
You
in
late.
part because
Hold on, I got lock in.
one of the covers featured on one of the versions of the song was a 12-year-old kid with a
Appreciate you
blunt
watching,
in his
though.
nose, which very quickly became one of the most iconic images in the underground rap scene and the overall community, in part because of the virality and craziness of the song, but also because it's pretty strange to have a 12-year-old kid with a blunt in his nose.
Yeah, that
And
is
kid was
crazy,
actually
bro.
another rapper named Kid Pronto.
He was
Kid
close
Pronto
with
had
him, bro. I
actually
knew
sent
that.
the picture directly to X in a group chat. He was from the same city as X and involved in the local rap community. And after sending that picture to X thought it was funny and said he was going to use it as the cover. Kid Pronto said, "I was smoking, I just put it in my nose, took a
Bruh.
picture, and sent it to the group chat as a joke." When Look at Me began to go viral over a year later, X and Kid Pronto were actually both fighting legal issues, with X in jail and Kid Pronto allegedly on the run when X got out. Because of this, XXXTentacion let Kid Pronto stay at his
Hey
house.
man, y'all know how I feel about X, bro. I think he the greatest artist ever, bro.
Eventually,
In my
police
opinion,
started
at
showing
least.
up at the house, and X talked Kid Pronto into turning himself in. Halfway through his time in jail, Kid Pronto
Polo
found
G,
out
the
that
best
X
rapper,
had
though.
died and decided to
Excuse
dedicate
me.
his life to music when he got out. In 2019, he got in trouble again after apparently stabbing someone multiple times, and this is when
Damn.
he began to go viral. Some people theorize that he also converted to Islam because of the head covering he was wearing, but he said this wasn't true. He briefly got out of jail after this and released a song called First Day Out, which got some buzz, but not much.
Got killed while I was in jail. Ain't think it was real till I got my mail. Big bro.
Oh man.
He get in the pill.
Eventually, though,
That
because
shit
of
booty,
this, he was
bro.
actually
I gotta be
sentenced to
real.
10 years in prison. He
I
was
can't dig
16
that,
at the
bro.
time of the stabbing, but since it had occurred over an argument, they said it was attempted murder, tried him as an adult, and then, yeah, he got 10 years. So it's a pretty crazy story behind one of the most iconic covers in underground rap history. And while Kid Pronto knew what he was getting into, Keith Roy Yearwood had no clue. Biggie Smalls' debut album, Ready to Die, was released in 1994 and is considered one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, with iconic hits like Juicy, Big Papa, and a lone feature from Method Man. However, before his next album was even released, Biggie was tragically murdered, which makes the names of his first two albums pretty eerie, especially with the first one being Ready to Die. Regardless, to some fans, the first image that may come to mind when they think of Biggie
Ain't
is
that
the baby
him
with
as a
an
baby,
afro
bro?
pictured
Or
front
am
and
I-
center on the
I'm
cover
tweaking.
of Ready to Die. Lots of people rightfully assume that that was actually just Biggie as a baby,
Yeah.
especially since it's a pretty common trend with rap albums to have Baby You on the cover. However, it's actually a photo of a now grown man named Keith Roy Yearwood. After speculation from his fans, the truth was revealed in 2011 when the New York Daily News tracked down Keith Roy, who at the time was an 18-year-old senior in high school. Keith Roy told the news he was happy to reveal that he was the Ready to Die baby. He said, "I just want people to know that's me. The truth is finally coming out." Before the news came out, the actual identity of that baby was one of hip-hop's biggest mysteries. Even the album's graphic designer
So
had no
this
idea
is the dude. Hey man, shout out this guy, man.
who the baby was. He said that ended up being one of the most asked questions of all time, originally thinking that the baby was just the son of a hairstylist who worked at the record label. In fact, not even the photographer had any clue, saying he assumed it was a friend of someone's friend's kid who had this cool afro. Funny enough, Diddy, who is the head of Bad Boy Records, which had signed Biggie, had no clue who the kid was either. The diddler explained, "That was a baby we just found.
The diddler
We did a
is
little
crazy,
casting
bro.
for somebody that looked like Big." And while Bad Boy Records couldn't find documents to confirm the child's identity, Keith Roy and his mother later confirmed that he was indeed the baby by sharing a stack of baby photos and papers from the child modeling agency. Another question that people ask Keith Roy when they find out he was the baby on this cover is how much money he made from it. And he only got $150 for 2 hours of work. And let's be real here, he probably
Actually,
never even saw that money. What's a baby gonna do with $150?
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
And
What
at
the
least
hell?
Keith Roy got to find out he was on the cover, because the Fish from Big Fish Theory by Vince Staples never got to find that out, as he tragically passed away a few years later. That was a joke. We're not talking about animals in this video, but we do know what happened to the baby from Nirvana's Nevermind. Also, real quick, I just have to address this. This year I've been trying to lock back in and get the old Matty balls back, because you guys pointed out I was getting pretty chubby, and let's not lie, it was true. I fell off for a little bit.
Shout out to Matty, bro.
Shortly after they followed it up with their album Nevermind, which controversially featured an image of a naked baby swimming towards a dollar bill attached to a fishhook. The band's label expressed concern about the image, which controversially featured an image of a naked baby swimming towards a dollar bill attached to a fishhook. The band's label even expressed concern
Nirvana,
about the
bro.
image due to the infant's
What we doing?
being visible. And when they went to Kurt Cobain about potentially changing it, he said he would only cover it with a sticker which read, "If you're offended by this, you must be a closet." But what did
I
the
mean,
cover think about this now that he's all grown
wait,
up?
no,
Unlike
man.
Keith
Why
Roy, he's
you?
actually had a
No,
pretty
man.
rocky
You ain't finna
relationship
switch
with
that on
Nirvana.
us. No.
The baby floating towards
You a
the
weirdo
dangling
guy.
dollar is Spencer Eldon, born months before Nevermind was released. One day, Spencer's parents received a phone call from a local underwater photographer, Kirk Weddle, asking if he could photograph their son for a project. His parents, who were friends with the photographer, agreed and were paid just $200, which little would they know this would be one of the best-selling and most recognizable album covers of all time. At first, it appeared that Spencer was not only perfectly fine with being the Nirvana baby, but also somewhat proud. Since in 2016, to celebrate the album's 25th anniversary,
Damn, that would give you like some sense of like, damn, that it's kind of big because of me. You feel me? So I understand where he coming from. I'm gonna be honest, bro.
he even recreated the
You gotta
photo,
take me
although
off
this
that
time,
shit, buddy.
thankfully, he did it with his clothes on. Spencer mentioned in an interview, "I said to the photographer, let's do it naked, but he thought it would be weird, so I wore my swim shorts." And he also acknowledged the weirdness of the whole situation, saying,
What is it like having the idea that a lot of people have seen?
He's like, no, I'm not
around
doing
as a
that,
baby?
bro.
Well, I'm not really a baby anymore, so it's I have to like think it's not me or something. But it's a trip. There's a lot of people that have seen my baby as a baby. I went to a baseball game on opening day at the Dodgers, and I was looking out at all the people, and I was like, had a moment where I was like, man, all of these people have seen my baby when I was a baby. So it's pretty crazy.
You know what?
He
He's
started
the
to give
only one
subtle
that could
hints
think
at
of
the
something
slight
like that, bro.
financial
So you can't
jealousy
even
he
make
had
no
about the
face,
whole
bro.
situation.
It'd be nice to have a quarter for every person that has seen my baby. But, you know, there's all kinds of puns you could throw on that, but you know, maybe that doesn't matter. You know, it's cool to be a part of that recipe for success.
Damn, that's kind of
Well,
messed
since
up. He
only
only
paid
got what,
$200, I think I could get it.
250?
I mean, I know it's
200, not
standard
250,
for
bro.
artists to get royalties from album covers, but I don't think that'd be such a bad thing. But this wasn't the only time he recreated the image, with Spencer jumping in the pool to pose for the camera numerous times over the years. However, his relationship with the artwork turned tense just a couple of years later, with the now 34-year-old suing the band's estate over the image in 2021. In the suit, Spencer named the band's surviving
Oh, yeah, that
members
boy
and the
money hungry.
photographer, claiming that the image had been taken without his consent and was child porn, which he sought over
If that was-
$100,000
bro.
in damages.
Nah, they weird for posting this image. Don't get me wrong. I ain't trying to defend them or anything like that, bro. But be real, bro. If he wanted to sue, he would have been sued, bro. Right? He probably just going through a little something. He ain't think he'd get what he thought he would, and
For. However,
want
his
that money,
initial complaint
basically.
was dismissed by a judge. Days after it was dismissed, Spencer refiled an amended complaint, but a judge ruled against him a second time. Spencer didn't quit though. He appealed it again in 2023, with his lawyers claiming that the band's 30th anniversary re-release caused a new injury to him, which he could bring before the court. As
oh shit, they re-released it, bro.
I'm sure you can
Oh, they
imagine by
some
this point, It was
demons.
dismissed again, with the legal back and forth seemingly having a chance to repeat the cycle a few more times. Former member
They
of
some
Nirvana, Dave Grohl, mentioned how
demons.
hypocritical it all was, saying, "Listen, he's got a Nevermind tattoo. I don't." And what makes this all more ironic is that in the original photograph, Spencer is chasing a dollar, which years later he keeps keeps trying to do in these baseless lawsuits. Spencer could have used all of
That's
the
what I'm
clout he
saying,
got
bro.
from
That
this
boy
for
is just
something
chasing
good,
that
maybe to
bread.
benefit himself. However, he chose to waste it. Unlike Suki Baby, who actually used her album cover features
Who?
to boost her career. In 2022, Drake and 21 Savage, two of the biggest rappers in the game, teamed up for a collab album called Her Loss. And this album may not be as popular as some others on this
This a,
list, but the cover was
artist?
quite contentious. I remember I was playing the new Modern Warfare when this album cover was announced, and everyone was hating on it. The Modern Warfare thing, I don't know why I remember that. That's just, I associated with that. But people thought the album cover was dumb. They thought it didn't make sense. They called the girl ugly, all sorts of
Bro, why is the girl on the cover of Her Loss so fugly, bro?
things.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who she was, and
I literally thought this album cover was to make fun of whoever this
everyone was
is.
pretty confused. Eventually, some journalists did some digging and found out her identity. The cover was shot by a Houston photographer, Paris Aiden, and it was
I was finna say, ain't no way that's her,
speaking of a
bro.
girl called Suki Baby. She was a nail stylist and adult dancer from Houston, and she also said she was really into tooth decoration, which I guess would make sense, but no one really knew why Drake and 21 chose this picture in specific. The photographer Paris said that OVO just reached out to him randomly. He said, Drake just saw the photo, I guess, and they asked if they could use it for the album. I shot that shit a long time ago. It was her profile pic, and he probably fell in love with what he's seen. But after everyone was talking about it for a while, the rapper Lil Yachty jumped in to say he picked the cover.
Off topic, bro, because I ain't gonna lie. I just zoned out for like the last 10 seconds, bro. Bro, that Concrete Boys chain is so crazy,
You
bro.
might
I
be
ain't gonna lie.
wondering, what's Lil Yachty got to do with this? Well, Yachty was actually one of the executive producers on the album and produced a lot of the tracks. On Instagram, he said, I chose this cover because this photo is so raw, so authentic, not fabricated. Suki can and will only be Suki. So basically, they just randomly saw the picture and liked it, so they used it. On the flip side, though,
Right.
Suki gained a ton of followers on Instagram. I believe at the time she only had 30,000, and now she's at like 700,000. And she was able to turn all of this viral
My
attention
God.
into something by positioning herself somewhat as an influencer, and she was also able to start selling grills.
She was Drake's album cover?
That's smart, bro.
You were? No way! Hold on, let's make an album cover. Can I point at your mouth?
Followers, I
Hard watch, Neon. Hard watch, bro. How do people sit through whole streams of Neon, bro?
photographed
Shout
on
out
the
Neon,
cover.
though.
There was actually a very important reason for the cover they chose. The cover was a
Bro, I couldn't even
photograph
watch
by
a 50-second
Malcolm
clip,
Brown,
bro.
which features a Vietnamese Buddhist monk whose name I'm not quite sure how to pronounce. But in the picture, he was setting himself on fire.
He's still a
actually
goat, though.
an even more horrifying and graphic picture of this, which I don't think I can share on YouTube, but they chose a much more tame one. This picture was taken in 1963, and the reason the monk did this was to protest the corrupt president of Vietnam that was oppressing the Buddhist religion. This picture actually led to JFK withdrawing his support for that president. So, like I said, this picture has a lot of meaning behind it. The reason Rage Against the Machine chose this picture was similar to a lot of the themes of their music, which was very politically charged, anti-establishment,
Wait,
and
who
all
is
that
this?
sort of stuff. So to me, this picture is
Rage
interesting
Against the
because
Machine?
Many of you probably just assume it's a random picture that's edited with flames on it, but it's actually a very powerful image with a huge story behind it. It doesn't quite fit the premise of this video since he tragically passed away when that picture was taken, but I thought it was worth including because I thought it was a cool, powerful, and interesting story. And like I said, that album cover has a lot of meaning, whereas Deftones' next cover hardly had any. Deftones
Rest
is an
in peace, that
alternative
guy, bro.
rock band formed in California back in the late 80s. Most popular for their albums White Pony, Diamond Eyes, and Around the Fur, which
I
is
think
the
I
album
seen
cover
this
of
one, bro.
Focus. Around the Fur was released in 1997, and along with the music itself being pretty memorable,
And
the
I'm pretty
album's
sure I
cover
heard
is
like
also
one of their
pretty
songs
widely
before or
across
something,
the
bro.
industry, which
This
has left many
that
fans wondering.
that specific music video look extremely familiar, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Hold on.
Pony, Diamond Eyes, and Around the Fur, which is the album cover of Focus. Around the Fur was released in 1997.
Excuse
and
me.
along with the music itself being pretty memorable, the album's cover is also known pretty widely across the industry, which has left many
Yeah,
fans
I'm looking at the
wondering,
background,
why did
bro.
they
I
pick
seen
this
that video
cover?
before.
Who is the girl in the picture, and where might she be today? Well, the girl pictured is named Lisa Hughes, and unlike the Nirvana baby, her presence on the cover along with the shoot itself was pretty unplanned. Photographer Rick Kozik, who at the time mostly worked with skateboard magazines, took the photo on a whim. After shooting for Deftones while recording some music, Rick was invited back to an apartment where the Deftones members lived for a party. Throughout the party, he was taking a bunch of pictures just of like some behind the scenes of the music type of thing, and that's
Right.
when a somewhat random friend of the band sitting in a jacuzzi caught his eye. Apparently without asking, he walked up to her and took the top-down close-up bikini shot, which ended up being one of 2 photos she was in that night. For years, Deftones fans wondered about the girl on the cover of their fan favorite album, and for a long time, That's all they could really do since not much was known about her. However, in this case, Lisa's identity was not a total mystery, since the band had to track her down for permission after going through the photos of the night, and in an unlikely turn of events, they decided to go with that one. Ironically, Lisa didn't have a computer at the time to approve the photo, so Deftones record company had to fax her a copy, which she was happy to approve. In almost 20
Fax
years
her a
since her
copy
last
is
interview,
crazy.
Lisa was recently found and interviewed again in 2017 alongside the photographer Rick. When asked to introduce herself, Lisa said, "I'm a kick-ass little woman from Western Washington. I'm in my 40s and feel amazing. I have a kick-ass job in the medical field. I love music and going to as many shows as possible. I love every kind of music you can think of, and yes, of course, I love the Deftones." Later in the interview, when asked about the moment the photo was taken, Lisa shot down a long-running rumor that it was unconsensual in any way. In fact, she said she's extremely proud to be in that picture. Well, Lisa originally
Hey,
was
man,
at
that's
the
a
party since
W,
she was
bruh.
friends with Deftones guitarist Stephen Carpenter. She has since lost touch with him and the band. And while arguably not nearly as iconic, there was a similar situation with Playboi Carti's self-titled album. In 2017, Playboi Carti released his self-titled mixtape or album.
Imagine they didn't even know this was gonna be a picture posted, bro. He just took
Whatever
that
you want to call it.
motherfucker.
At the time, Carti was new to the rap scene, but he was quickly becoming a fan favorite and a controversial artist.
Key, what you on, my boy?
2025,
Thank you for
Playboi
joining.
Carti is one of the biggest rappers of all time, with one of the most influential albums in recent years. But his self-titled album also had a lot of hits. Not only did it have his breakout single Magnolia, but
Right.
it had tracks like Woke Up Like This featuring
Man,
Lil
when
Uzi
that
Vert,
song dropped, bro.
fan favorites like Location, and my
I ain't
personal
gonna lie,
favorite,
Carti
Good
took
Chop.
over with
Not
that
only
song,
that,
bro.
but Carti was extremely controversial because he came out doing like a very anti-lyrical sort of thing, and this is when people were hating on mumble rap, so it was a really big deal. And to rap fans like myself, this is one of the best projects to come out of that whole SoundCloud era. And again, the album cover isn't necessarily iconic or anything, but the reason it's popular is pretty
I
fun,
don't know
which is
about all
mostly
that, bro.
because people have been thirsting over the girl in the cover and dying to know who she was. Specifically, the girl on the left, because you couldn't really see the girl on the right.
I ain't even gonna say
Regardless,
nothing,
people
bro.
started searching for her and trying to find out who she was, and there was actually a surprising story behind it. So the girl on the cover was actually one of what seemed to be many models that were chosen for a photo shoot. Funnily enough, it was shot at the Clout House, since Carti was friends with FaZe Banks. If you don't know what that is, that was basically when like Rice Gum and people like that all lived together, and it looks
Right.
like they were going around throughout the house doing the photo shoot. There were multiple other girls in the photo shoot as
Damn, man, the Clout House, bro.
well, but the one whose face made the cover was a model named Ayanna Lewis. She's a model and influencer who actually I think deleted her Instagram or got it taken down, so I'm not sure what she's up to nowadays. But it is a pretty simple story behind this cover, and it's the fact that she was just a model hired for a photo shoot, and it looks like she went on to have a modeling career after this album cover as well. However, the man in
Kefla,
the
thank you for
background
joining.
of the Abbey Road album cover had quite the opposite experience. Alright, now this one I'm bending the rules of the video a little bit, but I
Alright,
thought this
bet.
was also an interesting story. Of course, the Abbey Road album cover obviously features
That's the Beatles.
walking across the street, which is a pretty simple concept.
Bro, fun fact, bro. Maskonscape? I hope I said your name right, brother. Thank you for joining. Bro, but I have never, and I mean never, heard a single Beatles song, bro. And I
Especially
noticed
compared
they
to
album
some of the
cover.
other
That's crazy.
Video. But what a lot of fans began to wonder and even make theories about was the man pictured in the background. This mysterious guy just lurking around in the back. This was specifically attached to the Paul is dead theory, which alleges that the real Paul McCartney died back in the 60s and was replaced. I covered this theory way back in the day, and with the length of which people will go to support these things, it makes sense that this mysterious guy in the background got looped in. There's other theories or symbolisms or reasons people think he's back there, but the answer is actually
you're gonna
quite
have to
simple.
explain
the
this,
guy
bro.
later
What you mean?
identified as Paul Cole was a salesman from Florida who was only in London for the holiday.
Just
He
a
was also only
random
on that road because
Bro is just a random guy, bro.
his wife went to a museum, which he did not care to go see, so he stayed outside, which is when he became a part of history. He recalls seeing the photo shoot happen and saying that they went across like a row of ducks and even referred to the stars as kooks. Ironically, Paul Cole didn't even recognize the musicians in the moment, so it was all pretty strange to him. He explains the unique coincidence.
Yeah, he probably
saying,
like,
"I
bro,
say to
who the
people,
freak is
you don't
these
realize it, but you're
weirdos,
talking
bro?"
to a person whose picture is in millions of homes throughout the world." Paul explains the reason he didn't recognize them is because he only really listens to classical classical music, further explaining if they were on the television, I'd flip to something else. The
Damn.
only reason he ever found
Bro,
out he was
Ego and the
featured in
Beatles?
that
What is
album
this?
cover was by chance. His wife, an organist, purchased a copy of Abbey Road so she could learn a song off of it for a wedding she was playing. That's when Paul Cole spotted it in the house, claiming, "I did a double take and said, hey, that's me." And while other people have tried to claim that that was them in the background, Paul's story is actually substantiated. And while he passed in 2008, the legend lives on. And it only ever came out because a local paper asked for people to write in their craziest stories about the Beatles. So while theorists can try to make him into some creepy figure standing in the background, that
Bro,
cover
just
will
a
never
normal
be
guy.
nearly as creepy as Korn's self-titled album. Korn
What
has
you
been
mean?
known to have some pretty wild album covers.
Okay, bro. Corn, bro, with a K. I wouldn't, yeah. This is not my type of album cover, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. That shit crazy. J-Rod,
with a
appreciate you for
wide
joining, my
array
boy.
of varying styles. You could argue that some of them are pretty creepy, and their cover for the self-titled album Korn is no exception.
Bro, what am I
Features a
looking
frightened
at
little
right
girl
now,
on a
bro?
swing looking up at a shadowy figure, and the back showed an empty swing, so kind of weird. Together, the images were about as wild as the music itself, but what makes the album cover even creepier is that the child pictured was actually a member of Korn's extended family, the niece of Immortal Records rep Paul Pontius. The cover's photographer said that apparently, when the album came out, Paul was in the doghouse with his family. Paul might have got some shit, but he realized it was just a cover. Fortunately, the girl had no idea it was this disturbing monster deal. So obviously, getting some flack from your family for this isn't that surprising. I mean, he put his niece in this creepy cover. And at the time, Justine Ferreira, his niece, was only 8.
Yo,
His niece had no
what
idea
they
was going
on, bruh?
She said, "I just remember being at the park with this guy, Dante Areola, the co-art director of the shoot and the owner of the
KB,
Medicine
appreciate you
Shadow,
for joining.
who's really nice." Paul and his sister were there for the hour-long playground shoot where the photographer told Justine to look scared. The whole concept was actually the band members' idea, which they often joked about when confronted over its controversial nature.
It's kind of show you like the dark side of everything that's innocent, pretty much, you know, because without this, it's an innocent picture, but when you add the shadow, it's the dark side.
Oh, okay. It's making sense now, bro. I'm picking up what you're putting down, bro.
Be misinterpreted.
You had me scared.
Yeah, by people that have no clue.
Yeah, but you can understand how people could get a little upset about something like this.
No, not upset, boy. I was like legit worried.
You know, that's her dad carrying the horseshoes.
Yeah, he's getting ready to play some horseshoes. He's asking her if she wants to play a game, but the sun's in her eyes, so she can't see who it is. And all he's saying is, "Honey, you want to play some
Just jump
horseshoes?"
to one conclusion or another. You need to step back and look
So
at the
then why not just
think
put
you should
a
think about
picture
you.
of anything,
Are
a
you
tree or something?
because we like that picture.
We like horseshoes.
Justine was paid $300
We like
for the
horseshoes,
photo
it's
and said She
crazy.
wasn't allowed to see the album cover until she was in 8th grade. She said, "I heard my parents weren't too happy, and my mom wasn't keen on punk kids recognizing her little girl in the supermarket, but I think it's cool. I got some modeling under my belt." Eventually, she graduated from New York University in 2009 with a degree in communications. And she actually admitted to not really being a fan of Korn, but she did say she hopes to work in the music industry one day. If you like this video, you might like my video.
Bro,
about
she didn't
how
even
artists are
like
now
them, bro.
stealing
That's
music
kind of
legally.
crazy. Hey, man, YouTube, bro. That was a decent video, man. We figured out, you know, where all the people from famous album covers, where they at today, man. We figured that out, man. Now we know. The more you know. Hey, man, I appreciate y'all boys for letting me have y'all time. Y'all know that, though, man. I'll see y'all next time. We gone.